Hey, welcome to the Christmas edition of OT Asset Management Weekly. About to start to end the year, sorry, about to end the year. And certainly, I want to close the year on a positive note for you. And what would be more appropriate at Christmas than the message, do not be afraid? You don't have to be afraid. So, what I would like to make you understand is that if you work in OT security, then for the last years, you have been subject to a massive psyop. Everybody from the vendors to the to the industry press, to the industry media, want to suggest that you must be afraid, that you must be always looking out for new threats, and that is nonsense. And that you don't have to be afraid. They want to scare you. Why? Because it generates money. And for anybody who is working in OT security, my message is just forget about that nonsense, forget about the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Anytime you detect FUD, anytime that you detect somebody wants to scare you, just don't treat them seriously. This is not going to help you. This is not going to help your company. What we definitely need in OT security more than ever is a positive attitude. And I'll tell you later what I mean by that. I just want to make you more sensitive about all the fear mongering that's going on, about the scary stuff that you are exposed to, in order to help you to detect this at a very early level, and then make up your own mind about if you really want to follow that line of argument, or if you want to do something more productive. So just yesterday, I came across randomly, browsing LinkedIn, I came across this post from SANS where Robert Lee rambles about his, let's just say, he's not very happy about apparently recent conversations with CISOs, and he suggests, well, you better listen to his or Dragus's understanding of cyber risk, or else. And this is how you can detect that you are about to get threatened and bullshitted, or else. So the argument that he makes is, well, if you underestimate that risk, then you may get fired. Oh, that's not good. But even Robert understands, no, that argument is not strong enough. So he goes all the way. You can read it in the caption there of that short video sequence. Hiding the risk can cost lives. So that's like the biggest weapon that they have. You will have blood on your hands if you don't do what the OT security vendors suggest you should do, and if you don't give them your money. I find that rather disingenuous, if only for the fact that nobody, not a single person, has been killed by a cyber attack. Thank God. I mean, it could have been different, but this is a fact that you cannot ignore, and that certainly everybody in their right mind and at the C-suite will factor in. That has never happened in the, I don't know, 50 years of digital automation that we look back to globally. It has never happened. And the other thing that usually makes me uncomfortable when those proponents point to the safety risk is, do they really care about safety? I mean, I don't want to associate that on a personal level with Robert Lee. I don't know the man good enough that I would want to draw this conclusion. But so many times when I hear OT security experts talk about safety, I wonder if they really care. By the way, for the IT folks among the audience, safety has a very specific meaning in OT. It's risk to life and limb. And do they really care? So a very simple question would be, how many actual injuries and deaths, safety related, did we see? Let's just say in the last year. Well, that's a number that you could actually pull up easily. I've done that for you. And just to make it a little bit meaningful, I have limited the search to the manufacturing industry. That's what you can look up within seconds on Google. So in 2023, there were 391 workplace fatalities in the manufacturing industry, and overall 355,800 injuries and illnesses. So certainly we have to exclude the illnesses here. We don't have an easily accessible number on the workplace injuries without the illnesses. But that is a substantial number in any case, right? So my point is, safety actually is a very, very important issue that everybody would care about, certainly in a manufacturing environment or wherever you work in oil and gas. But, isn't it strange that the safety folks never use fear, uncertainty, and doubt? Why is that? I find this very remarkable. So they don't try to scare you. They just tell you, this is how things are done. You're going to work your personal protective gear before you step into this room, as an example. And if you have been in those environments, as I have, you know that if you even try to go there without the hard hat, with the safety shoes, with the goggles, you will be stopped. There was somebody who will stop you, okay? And it doesn't have anything to do with scaring you. It doesn't have to do with creating this environment of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. No, it's just it's more a common sense thing. It's much more data driven, based on statistics, etc. And this is probably the attitude that I would like to see in OT security as a whole field. So what I believe we need to do rather quickly is get away from all this fear-mongering bullshit that is totally agenda-driven by vendors and by industry media who capitalize on this fear. So every now and then they actually manage to sell their wares. Certainly, the best example would be when you read Security Week as an example. I'll get to there in a second. Those scary headlines. So why are they scary? Because it's a known fact that this works. This is just clickbait. So you click on that link, and this gives Security Week another, let's just say, a couple of pennies, maybe a dime because of the advertising money, okay? This is how that works. They profit from fear-mongering. And it's basically your choice if you want to participate in that or not. So let me give you an idea. Also, just recently, what happened. If you're in OT security, you will most likely have seen that Iranian hackers use IO control malware to target OT IoT devices in US and Israel. Oh, that sounds dangerous. Maybe you have to check that out. I don't know. So what I would like to accomplish with my work is that you would say right away, well, are they think I'm retarded or what? I mean, if you just look at that image. Unfortunately, AI helps these people a great deal to come up with nonsense images with bullshit beyond belief. So, I mean, everybody sees this is your prototypical control room, right, in an OT setting, in a factory environment, where you have this very large display that tells you hack. Everybody knows what that means. Okay, you're hacked, you're compromised, and then you have these very funny operator stations. Apparently, they expect the workers to stand all day long, and in this image, the workers apparently they were so scared, everybody was running away. It's just unfathomable. But I would like to point you to more subtle things here. Iranian hacker. So let's just assume this is established. Use IO control malware. This is a very important aspect of it. So to make it appear more real and more threatening, they slap a name on the malware. In this case, it was not security weak. They are not to blame. It comes from Clarity, as I understand. I'll get there in a second. And it's gotta have a fancy name. Why? Because it sounds more scary. It sounds more like a thing. This is one reason now when you have followed my work, why I always used to refer to the Triconex attack rather than picking up any of these silly names like ISIS or whatever it was, right? Trisis, it was Trisis. So they serve a purpose, those names, and to target OT or IoT devices in US and Israel. Okay, so next data point, my friends, please listen very carefully. Anytime you hear or read the term, those nasty hackers, they target specific industries. That tells you right away there was no successful attack. Because otherwise you would read that rather than they target OT. That means the attack was not accomplished. It didn't result in any damage that worth mentioning, and as it was the case here. So then they are talking about target. They target something in apparently some capacity to be able to read the hackers' minds, what they wanted to, whom they wanted to attack, which is nonsense, as you will see in a second. And then it gets even more specific: IoT devices in US and Israel. Okay, so this gives you already some ideas how this brainwashing works. And then when we go to the Clarity report for this new malware, they go a little bit further. That's a cyber weapon, a new cyber weapon, IO control. The name, as you know, is very important. What is it? And so the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more you understand that this is just a nothing burger. And I mean, not don't get me wrong, not in the way that it would be not interesting from a technical perspective. I think actually Clarity has done a solid job here in explaining the malware. It's just that on top, that framing element that then goes off. And so the two things that you should focus on when you hear about a new malware or you hear about a new alleged attack, cyber attack, OT attack, cyber physical attack, the two things that you should focus on. First, was this attack or malware in any way successful? Simple answer is no. Okay. And the second aspect that you should focus on is how could that attack or attack attempt be prevented? We'll get to that in a second. And so, first of all, what we learn here, this was done by the Cyber Avengers from Iran. And what did they do? They attacked or targeted, guess what? Gas pumps. And they did that exploiting the MQTT protocol. I mean, that was something that was absolutely to me. I was actually waiting for that. With all that IoT stuff going on, and with the protocols that are in place. But it's just a matter of time when you find some bozo who doesn't use proper authentication, etc. So their devices are then exposed to the internet. And that gets us to my second point that I mentioned earlier. How could such an attack have been prevented? Well, that's very simple, guys. Don't expose your stuff to the public internet. That's the long and short of it. And that might give you an idea, but probably it isn't so dangerous or significant after all, because if all it takes is to just properly secure your remote access, that isn't actually so difficult to accomplish, right? I would think. And also, I mean, this whole provision here, oh, they are trying to shut down gas pumps. Oh, in Israel and the US, and that may result in some drivers having to wait an hour or two before they actually can refuel their car because the next gas station is 1,000 miles away or something. What am I supposed to believe here about the significance of this attack? So, my friends, if you want to have my opinion about this attack, it's just another example where the Iranian hackers, the cyber avengers, just demonstrate once more that they are complete nutcases that don't achieve anything. So let me remind you, a couple of years ago, during the first Trump administration, when the US military killed their beloved terrorist, this General Soleimani. And we were bracing for impact because it was certainly expected that there would be some retaliation, including cyber. And the only thing that they accomplished was a defacement of some government website. And by government, don't think of DOD. That was some public library. This is what they accomplished. And now they're going after gas pumps. And so I just want to help you to put things in perspective and don't assume the nonsense that the headline tries to suggest. And with that, so what can we make out of that? Getting back to my original Christmas resolution, do not be afraid. You don't have to be afraid, because by now it is absolutely clear that we can protect our cyber-physical systems. And the way to do that is not to focus on the threat and the threat actor, just like the rabbit on the snake, but to apply more like an engineering approach where actually OT security is an engineering problem. And the other thing that I want to suggest is that you broaden your scope beyond security. Why is that important? Because there are so many things that can go wrong in an OT environment without malicious impact, without malicious cause. And that is actually worthwhile going after. And I mean, the best example would be safety. If you are a control engineer, you will definitely have read a bunch of safety advisories from your vendors telling you, oh, sorry, but we have to tell you, we have identified this bug in this particular firmware version for your, I don't know, PowerFlexes or whatever, and this can have a safety impact. And this is something that you then want to resolve. The difference is to the hacker, to the security angle, is for that particular risk to materialize in actual safety consequences, it doesn't require a hacker. It doesn't require malware. So it's much more serious. The likelihood is much higher because it doesn't require a hacker that needs to hack his or her way through your DMZ and the remote access. So let's just assume you didn't connect your shit to the public internet. That is not the case for these security issues that just have their root cause in buggy firmware. And that's not meaning you would have to blame the vendor. So that happens. Unfortunately, it does happen because of the complexity involved here. So that, in my opinion, is very much worthwhile worrying about. Don't limit your focus to intentional malicious action. Don't limit your focus to threat actors. Just look at the big picture, and you will be able to really make a difference when you frame the whole problem more in a neutral way as a resilience problem. Resilience means you're also looking at non-malicious impacts that you need to protect against. And when you want to go all the way, you would even broaden up the scope a little bit more. This is what I call robustness. The difference between resilience and robustness is that resilience always assumes an adverse force that you somehow need to respond to or protect against. That is not the case with robustness. Robustness also factors in intentional change. Like you want to upgrade your systems, you want to go full IoT or whatnot, right? And then you will sometimes run into issues because damn, you cannot do that because our architectures are so obsolete. That's going to be a stretch. That is what robustness is all about, and that's the difference between robustness and resilience. So the whole mindset that I would like to propose here is, and that's the foundation for the work that we are doing, is to view your activities as enabling your organization to fend off from those potentially malicious attacks, should they ever happen, to making sure that any bugs in your OT infrastructure that you have installed will not cause downtime. So now we are talking about more business continuity planning. You will make sure that any obsolete products will not cause a problem when they finally break and nobody cared about replacement parts in time. And you will also make sure that once that your networks, your OT architectures go through an upgrade, which will definitely come. So this static scenario that we have seen for the last decades, that's going to change, my friends. So with that digital transformation going full steam, you must make sure that there is some flexibility in your architectures, and this is also where you can help. And if you put all that in a nice package, you will arrive at a positive approach towards OT security that does not require fear mongering. And in my experience, you will find very much sympathy for that approach with management, because management wants to see progress. And it's very difficult to demonstrate progress when you're only focusing on the threat actor du jour all the time, or the malware du jour, like the IO control. I would almost bet that in hundreds or maybe thousands of companies, discussions were going on Teams. Are we affected by this new IO control stuff? And that's not a really worthwhile discussion to have, or maybe only in the way that you would say, well, I would suggest let's just check if some of our systems are exposed to the public internet. So that would be a good starting point. And that would be so easy to accomplish. And that would make you the hero of the day, probably. But you don't need something like this IO control. You can have your wins every single week if you use the right mindset. So that's, in closing, that's my Christmas resolution. OT security should not be driven by fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It will not get you to a better place. It will not get your company to a better place, certainly also not you personally, when you think about your career opportunities, when you think about your budget, because just you have to demonstrate that you make an impact, a positive impact, that you make a difference. So with that, my friends, Merry Christmas, and we'll see each other again in January. So I will take a hiatus next week, and just enjoy your holidays. Bye-bye.